Hey everyone, this is one of our older episodes. This is back before we had our studio and cameras and lighting and all that stuff. We want to thank everyone for supporting the channel and watching the videos, and we hope you enjoyed the episode.
Venture into the shadows with hosts Jordan and Ashley as they peel back the veil to reveal in-depth images into a different realm. One of strange events, places, occurrences, phenomena, and sometimes even horror. Join them as they journey through the spooky door.
Today, we have a very special guest. We have Kritter Mortis, who is the assistant director of the Sex Kitten Purrrlesque, based here in Columbus, Ohio, a founding member of the House of What's-Her-Face, a burlesque performer and producer. She is also an art wrestler within the Artist Wrestling League and a proprietor of The Strange and Unusual. So I want to thank you for being on the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend. I'm glad I wasn't the only one who went there.
I got
because
you.
That's never fun if you start to do that and then no one joins you.
You're like, you don't think like I think.
Spooky Door musical.
Ooh. It's funny, but then I thought about it and I was like, hey, Asaticus.
So, Kritter, you are no stranger to the unexplained and weird. So, what's your origins of all this happening?
I feel like from a very young age, outside of, everyone has you see stuff out of the corner of your eye, all that stuff, but I feel like I've always had, I guess what you would call kind of sensitivities to things, or, I've always been very empathetic to people too, and I feel like it all just kind of ties into being really sensitive to stuff. Maybe it's picking up on energies or something like that. I don't know, but
I feel that. That's the way I am.
yeah. I'm already doing it. See, this is what I was nervous about.
What's that?
Oh,
it's all right.
So I feel like from a really young age, I would always feel certain things in certain houses, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that it really became more prominent after college, or when I was in college, rather. I, at one point, was living with a couple of my friends from school. I went to art school in Dayton. The name of the school has since changed, but it used to be called School of Advertising Art. And I was at one point driving back and forth from Columbus to Dayton every day.
That sounds terrible.
Not great.
That's already a horror
Driving by
story.
the hell is real sign every day.
God. The worst part, to be honest, is you get out from this long day of schooling and driving home, and the sun's coming in and it's warm and you're just I'm really sleepy. And then you come to seconds away from a semi's wheels. So that wasn't fun. But long story short, I ended up moving out there eventually. And I was living with a couple friends from school. And I swear that apartment was haunted.
Was it an old building or?
It was an older building. I couldn't tell you the year that it was built or anything like that. But we would be anytime it was just one of us there or something, you would always think that someone else was there. You would hear doors opening and shutting, or you would think someone was in the bathroom, random stuff like that. Sometimes we would all just be sitting in the living room and you would just hear the door jingling, and it's locked, but you would just hear it someone's trying to open it, and you'd look out and there's nobody in the hallway.
Nope.
It was spooky.
Time to move.
Yeah. Well, the worst one, so when I moved in there, I was actually not originally on the lease and stuff. I moved in really late into the year. And so for the most part, I was just kind of crashing what was considered the living room. But I remember one day I was asleep on the futon, and my friend that I was living with, sometimes he would come home really late from work and he would sit down by my feet. We were really close, so he would just chill with me. He would sit down by my feet and smoke a cigarette and then go to bed. And so I'm half asleep and I feel someone sit down by my feet, and I'm just oh, hey, what's up, Ray? And then there was no reply, and I'm just you good? And I opened my eyes and there's nobody there, and I was nope. Nope.
We're just gonna pretend
Got
that
up.
didn't happen.
Oh no.
Threw all the lights on. I was like, everything's fine.
That's the worst. Is like when you get woken up and you're like scared, and then like you turn the lights on, and it's like, oh great, now I'm tired with all the freaking lights on and scared on my mind at the same time. It's like the worst. Like it's like now, like what can I do? Like I'm tired. I want to go back to bed, but lights are on, and it's like should I turn the lights back
Right,
off?
and
Or...
it's so scary because you don't know. You're like, what? I just want to know what it is.
The worst is when that shit happens. You like have to be at work in like 3 hours, and you're like,
Literally. Ugh. Let me sleep, ghosties. God.
that's
Ghosties,
the-
get a job.
that's always like the worst for me. It's like if something weird happens in the middle of the night, especially I wake up and I'm like, fuck no, I can't, like it's like my adrenaline's pumping and now it's like I can't sleep and it's like I have to like my alarm's gonna go off in a couple hours. Like what the fuck? I'm like if I wake up now, I'm gonna be really tired. So
Ghosty just wants to party.
Ghosty better start paying some rent.
there was one night. This isn't haunted, but one of the pictures from the hallway fell. It was the very top one in the hallway. It fell because the nail broke and it crashed through the steps and landed onto the foyer. Woke us up in the middle of the night. I thought like. I had scared the living hell out of me. Yeah, I was. Oh my god, I couldn't sleep. Like it happened at like 2, and I was like, "Well, that's it. I'm not going back to bed because I could not sleep because the stupid fucking nail broke." But anyway, I digressed
Fuck
a little
this
bit.
shit, I'm out. Yeah, so anyways, yeah. All through college, I feel like I had a bunch of weird stuff having, like, goings on. I ended up moving to another place in the same area with a couple other friends from school, and they used to play with Ouija boards all the time.
Well,
Yeah. Ooh.
this is already where we went wrong.
Yeah. So I had never really messed with one before, and I was like, cool, yeah, I'll do it like one time just to see. And one of my friends that I was living with, it was just the two of us doing it, and he was like asking these different questions and stuff, and then he asked one question, and I won't repeat it because it was like a personal thing. And it started like spelling out the answer, and I have never seen this guy look terrified like this. Like the color absolutely drained from his face, and he like slammed the thing off the table, and he said, "No, I'm done with this. I'm never doing this again," and all this stuff. And I'm just like, what just happened?
So this was in college?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it looks like this is why, like, you know, you can go to college, you can be in a sport, you can join a club. These people are like, no, we're going to play with Ouija boards.
Where
Like,
it's
that's going to be
at.
our thing. That is going to be our thing. And then
I've messed
that's
with
why
like
you don't do that.
pretty much every peripheral out there for any type of spiritual stuff, and like Ouija boards is still like nope. I just
Yep.
Oh,
That's
I
a big
won't.
fat nope for me.
Ever since that,
I
will
never have, and I won't.
Yeah, it's for me. It's just like because you're literally opening your door to like whatever. And
Yeah.
there's no like you don't know what you're doing or what you're bringing in. Like you're just it's like turning off all your lights in your house, opening your front door, and be like, okay, cool, here you go.
Yeah.
Do what
Interesting
want.
you mentioned that.
Something might happen, something might not happen.
Why is that interesting?
Well, what I was going to say is that part of the reason that I will never touch one part of the reason I will never touch one again is because after that instance, he and his girlfriend at the time, they would get sick all the time. Like, I ended up moving out of there because they were constantly fighting. And this is a couple that was like attached at the hip before this. And I won't say for sure that that's what it was, but in my mind at that time, I was like, I know where this came from.
Suspicious.
Yeah, literally.
I think
And
we all
it
know where that
just-
came from.
Yeah. That was my thought process on the whole thing, but obviously it's not something I can be like, "Oh, I can prove this," but
Yeah, for me, it's like with the Ouija boards, it's like I look at them almost like a loaded gun. It's like there's ways of safe ways of having a gun in the house and gun ownership, whatever like that, or but I think, but at the same time, it's like literally leaving a loaded gun sitting out. Anyone can grab it. It's like not protected. It's like the most dangerous thing you could possibly way you could do it.
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't even want it in my house.
Yeah, it's like Ouija
Yeah.
boards. That's how I feel about it. It's like there's certain ways you can do it where it's safe, but it's like most time people don't do it like safely.
Yep.
They just do. We let's just play with this thing, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
Molten Bradley,
yeah.
it's a joke. It's
Yeah.
ugh.
but it's like you can make them out of a pizza box.
Right.
Like
Maybe in, you know, invest some time in looking into the history of them.
I love the look of like planchettes and stuff. I will never touch a Ouija board again. Oof.
Bad news
Yeah.
bears.
I think the Ouija boards look amazing, especially the handcrafted
they're-
like wood
Oh, yeah.
carved. Like those look incredible, but I'm like, yeah, that's awesome, but
But I still don't want it in my house.
yeah, it's like even if it's just like a like even just for the design of it, I'm just kind of like,
Doing that too, and like that's not just like the door you can open up, but even in that scenario too, it's like you don't know who made that and what they put into that, and if you
Right.
start messing with it, you also might open that up to you. So
well, I
that's
think
not a good idea either.
the really high end ones, like the ones that people put like a lot of love and craft into it, I think they're not putting like evil intent into it. I don't think so. I think they're
Well, I don't necessarily mean like they're intentionally putting that there, but like you don't know what's going on in that person's life at that
Right.
time, personal struggles, for example. And a lot of people like that's their escape. Their art is their escape when they're going through stuff. So, I mean,
That's
you
a
don't
good
know if
point.
you're getting some of that. Maybe
Right.
that's kind of what I mean more so.
Bad news, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is bad news.
I was just thinking about Scientology, and I'm like,
Yep,
That was right where my mind
about
went
it
too.
too.
I was like,
I don't even want to have this conversation. No,
have-
there's not going to be a Tom Cruise episode.
I have this.
We're like, oh, this was loaded.
I have this like ungodly, strange fascination with Scientology. I don't know why. I'm obsessed with Scientology, but I think it's such a bullshit. I'm just like so fascinated by it. So
It is the stupidest thing, Rose. Okay, Tom and John. Tom Cruise, John Travolta, Tom and John.
yeah. So anyway, at this point, so you moved from college.
Mm-hmm.
What else like started happening?
So from there, this is how every story starts, right? I met a guy. Speaking of bad news. So anyways, no, so I ended up
talk about this.
woo. Yeah, I met a demon. It was great. No. So I ended up meeting some guy and I moved to Virginia for like a year. And when I was in Virginia, I swear that's when all of my experiences just like started popping off because either A, my bad energy was bringing stuff in, or B, it's just haunted AF down there. I don't know, but they,
Maybe a little bit of both.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
probably a little bit.
Probably
Well-
that's what I'm thinking. A little seriousness.
yeah,
Anything on the East Coast,
yeah.
as we learned about Connecticut.
Yeah. Connecticut.
We would like walk down the street all the time to like the 7-Eleven. It was like the closest thing. And we would just go down and get snacks and stuff like that in the evenings. And on the way down, there is this housing development, but there's this section of like wooded area and a graveyard that they obviously can't do anything with because you're not allowed to move graveyards really. So they've just like built all these houses around this weird ass patch of land in this housing development. Bizarre.
Sounds like the Poltergeist.
Right.
Like, this is
God.
the plot of the Poltergeist.
Right. It sounds
So
like
bizarre.
like we're gonna build them here, and hey, if you want to come hang out with ghosts, this is where you move.
It was a tiny little graveyard. Like I want to say maybe 20 headstones, if that. And then like a patch of wooded area. Local lore says that there's more headstones in the little wooded area. I never really went into it to see. But sometimes we would just go on walks into that little housing development too, because it was just nice to walk around and like look at these houses. There were some like rich bitches in there. So it was just nice to go look and like hang out. And every once in a while, if I would look over, I would see like blue orbs flying around up in these trees. It was really weird. And one night we went out with a bunch of friends over there and I was like, you know what? I'm taking my camera because I just want to try and like capture something. And I took a bunch of pictures all around the gravestones and around the trees and everything. And I mean, you could see like little specks and stuff, but it wasn't ever very apparent to me until I pulled it up on my laptop what I had actually captured. So I get home and I'm like uploading all of these photos and everything. And some of the ones definitely had orbs in them. And it sounds so bizarre, but one of them I zoomed in really, really far. And one of the orbs actually looked like a face.
Oh, wow.
It was
that's
so creepy. So of course I'm like, oh, this is fun. I want to go back. So we go back and we're all just like goofing off, like taking more photos and stuff. And we hear a blood curdling scream come from like the center of the woods. And we noped right the fuck out of there. It's like, hell no.
I mean,
I don't know what's
sorry,
going on
girl.
over
You're
here.
getting if you're with a murderer, like we're too freaked out. To
Yeah,
help you.
exactly. I don't know what's going on, but it's not good, and I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but it's not going to involve me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
jeez.
it was spooky dooky. There's also, you can actually look up online this. There's a road out there that is called Snake. Well, I think the locals call it Snake Road. If you look it up by that, you should be able to find it. Snake Road in Virginia.
Say Snape Road.
Snape. Turn to page
I want to
3.
go live on that road. Anyway,
I can't remember the actual name of the road, but it's just called Snake Road
In Virginia.
in Virginia. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Chester, Virginia. So this road, the like local lore about it is that if you drive down this road, and you stop on the bridge that's over like this little, it's not really a river, I guess like a stream, that you won't be able to turn your car back on and your lights won't work and all this stuff.
they're
And
coming for you.
yeah, I was like, okay, whatever. So
I'm invincible.
and I feel like every town also has that story of like the lady who lost her kid.
We talked
and-
about this. We totally talked about this. It was like the like at midnight on a Tuesday.
It has
like,
to be
like
exact circumstance. Yeah,
And-
and so will show up.
yeah, it's like we talked about like how every like it feels like every town has that story. Like there's even multiple in Columbus. Even there's a couple places in
like
Columbus.
the wailing woman.
Which one's that?
Well,
Oh, there's another
like,
one.
like the one where the lady cries for her kid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wait, no, yes,
or her
I've
baby.
heard that. I've heard that.
Well, the one of the ones I heard about was in Homestead Park actually. Supposedly Homestead Park and like near Hilliard is haunted, and
Ooh.
there's a like
Hilliard.
Yeah,
Again.
well, I'm from Hilliard, so I have a lot of stories from there. But yeah, Hilliard's fucking weird. But supposedly, like in Homestead Park, like there is a bridge that goes over water, and supposedly at night, like you're supposed to see some kind of like woman or something like that who drowned in like the lake or whatever. But it's a little pond, so
I don't know if it's just like
Yeah.
because I just like it's nighttime or it's because I'm sitting by a window while you're telling the story. But I keep getting chills. I'm like,
it's just like
The window
shit.
is cracked for what it's worth.
stop! Is it cracked?
no, it's not. It's not great.
Oh, it's
closed.
not?
I was about
Oh,
to be like,
it looked
nah, guys.
Oh, it's a sliding window.
Yeah, it's a sliding window.
I thought it was like a lift up, and so I saw the edge, and I was like, "Well, it is probably
No.
air."
And I'm sorry, Jordan, you were saying like I just had to get
No, it's
that
all right.
out there. I was
I
like,
just-
I'm scared.
I don't believe it. Like the one about Homestead Park, I don't think it's true. I think it's just one of those like urban legend stories that kids like to tell kids about
Right.
a creepy area
Yeah.
that they know of.
It's like,
Scare
I dare
you.
you to go.
But anyway, Snake Road.
Yeah, so this road is really during the day, it's like the most beautiful thing ever. You come around this bend and it's a winding road, hence the name Snake Road. And at the like middle of it, you're in the bottom and there's a little bridge over water, of course, and there's like these little hills with houses up on top of the hill, and it's really pretty and picturesque. But anywho, so everyone would always just like go down there to goof off to like try to scare each other and everything. And so I drove down there with a few of my friends one night, and they're like, do it, just like stop here and turn your car off and see what happens. Guess what? Car did not turn back on. Insert me freaking the fuck out. Oh, can I say that? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Okay.
Go.
You sure
I
can.
start
You
freaking
sure
out.
No,
fucking can.
we're listed as explicit. It's okay.
Perfect. So I'm tripping out. And I have a funny story about why my car didn't turn back on, and I don't think it was paranormal. So anywho, car's not turning back on, and I'm trying to like turn the lights on, and the radio keeps like flickering on and off, and I'm like, what the fuck? So then I finally get the car back on. Nope, right out of there. Head home, everything, and we like go inside, and we're like trying to chill out because I'm still freaking out. Go to bed, whatever. So get up the next morning and go out to the car to go to work. And there are like all these, the best way I can describe it is it looks like child handprints and footprints all over the top of my car
What?
and all across the back window.
Oh my god.
Dude, I'm
Wow.
getting chills talking about it right now. It was so creepy.
I would just be like, well, it's time to get a new car.
weird.
Oh my
'Cause I don't
God.
want this.
Oh, the reason why the car wouldn't start.
Oh, so it had like electronic problems. I ended up getting rid of that car like a few months later because it would just like drain the battery constantly, and you would like turn it off and the lights would just come back on by themselves randomly. It had like so much electronic issue crap with it. It was terrible. So unless a ghost possessed my car. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I'd be like wanting to get a new car anyway after I saw that on my car. I'd be like, nope, we're done. I'm not risking it. It's going.
I think
So
the
creepy.
handprints is really weird though.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, because I was like,
Maybe your friends came by and decided to fuck with you.
maybe, but it I can see. So have you ever done that thing where people like do like the kid footprints with your hand? Like you can make it
Yeah.
look like a footprint. So I could see maybe someone doing that, but I don't know how they would make like the handprints though.
Wait, were
'Cause
they
they were
actually
like
full-size, like,
yes,
kid handprints?
like kid handprints.
Okay, that's
yeah.
creepy.
Yeah. Spooky. So
Yeah.
that was fun.
This is okay. So that was what else happened in Virginia? Or is that
Mostly just that stuff. I mean, the area by that housing development just was always spooky. It has I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen. Well, maybe you, since you're really sensitive to stuff. I have this thing where street lamps always like turn off and on around me. Like I'll be driving and it'll pop off.
Yeah. And it's like weird because I've had that happen to me too. And it's like, so, at night they always shut off at a certain amount of times, but I've gone through places at, different times and it happens at different times. So I'm like, okay, this isn't like them automatically shutting off because that's programmed to do a certain time every night. And this is happening different times in the evening.
Happens to me all the freaking time. But there was like a street lamp in this housing development that every time I walked by it, it would go off and then it would pop back on after I'm like done walking past. But that's like neither here nor there. I guess that's like a really small thing, but that was always happening there. Around that same area though, there was this bend in the road that people would go flying down all the freaking time. Like it's usually younger people, like teenagers or maybe early 20s, whatever, but they would always go flying around that bend. Like they thought it was super fun. And this guy like ended up crashing his car so bad that it was like wrapped around this tree by that bend. And it just felt so creepy through there after that. And I remember one night we were walking by, heading down to 7-Eleven to get our little snacks. And I just got like the weirdest feeling that someone was like walking beside me. And right as we're going past that tree where the guy had like wrecked his car, I just hear this like, hey, right by my ear. And I feel this like whoosh of air and I freaked out. I was like, did you just hear that? Did you just hear that? Of course, nobody did except for me. But
Yeah.
That's
I
all-
mean,
yeah.
that's sad though too, because young kids do that. I had a friend of mine pass away when he was like 18 for doing that, going around a curve like that too fast, and he hit a tree. So
I'm sorry.
thanks, but not to be depressing, but that's just
Yeah.
like that makes the what you were saying even more sad because obviously that's a situation where it shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is probably why it's something reminiscing there as well, is
Right.
because
Yeah.
it was cut. Their life was probably cut off too early, and they're not ready to detach.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I look back at some of the stuff that I've done in my life and I'm just like, I really don't know how I survived that. I used to go like 90 on these backcountry roads over hills and stuff. And I just think like if there was someone coming over that hill and didn't know I was coming, I would have died. Yeah. I'm glad I don't drive like that anymore. Now I drive like a grandma.
I never drove like that. Never did.
Yeah. I don't know. Growing up like near back roads and stuff, like it's always like I don't know.
But that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, nope,
Well, for me, it was like 15. Like you drove like 15 minutes, you'd be like dead center in the middle of the country. So it's like, oh yeah, we can really like speed up and do all kinds of crazy shit back there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly like where I grew up. And
Yeah.
we never, like, me and my sister both, we never did that. It was like, we knew the roads well enough to know, like, nope, you don't do that.
Yeah.
What's funny now? There's a bunch of roads. Like you can't even do that anymore because it's all subdevelopments. It's all suburbia now.
Of course. Of course.
I was back, like I was down there like a year ago, and I was like, where the hell did this crap come from?
God, yeah. Every time I go back home, I'm like, hello, random new buildings. It's weird. Everything built up so fast.
Yes, I know.
It's kind of
Especially if you
sad.
haven't been somewhere in a long time. You go back and you're like, oh wow, there's all this is now here.
And we wonder why, like, places get haunted too, because we keep
Literally.
just building on top of everything. Oh, dead people, no big deal.
Well, I think like in parts of it, like we talked about, is like if something is constantly rebuilt, like the energy is constantly changing. That's why I think like some things don't get haunted because it's just whatever's there got torn down, then something else got built up, and then that got torn down, and something else got built up. It's like Las Vegas. Like I don't know if either one of you been to Vegas. Like
yeah, twice,
almost
two
anywhere
or three times.
I've been in Vegas, like I never. Well, first off, there's a million people everywhere you go, for one. But the other thing is, I never got like any like haunting feeling almost anywhere I
yes.
went.
So I feel very, when I'm there, every time I've been there too, I feel very blank.
Yeah.
But like in a good way.
Yeah, it's like
there's
just
nothing.
because
I'm
they
for
literally-
once picking up nothing.
Because they tear down their history.
Yeah.
Las Vegas is like the only place they will blow up an old casino to make room for a brand new casino. So all that energy and whatever was there just got obliterated.
Bye.
It's like constant transitory state.
Right. Compared to like someplace like here where something gets built in like 1850 and that building is still there.
Right. Yeah, we have some of those.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's how my old apartment downtown was. I'm actually surprised that wasn't haunted because it's like been standing
So,
forever. It wasn't one of the original buildings in Columbus.
Have either one of you been to Medina? It's a little suburb like about a half hour away from Cleveland.
I want to say yes, but I don't remember
Yes.
why.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
It was the town that pretty much the mob built. All the mob bosses that didn't want to live in Cleveland, they pretty much moved out to like the suburbs, and they pretty much created like the mob pretty much created Medina. And there's a place called the Square, and literally it's like a bunch of buildings and a square, and there's like a little tiny park in the middle. And some point, I forget when, most of the square burned down.
Oh,
Like, there was a huge fire, and then a lot of the buildings they left and they rebuilt them. So the energy there, like talking about like Vegas, where like there's nothing, like Medina is the complete opposite, where every single place you go has this creepy, horrifying feeling. And friends had an apartment up there, and I remember I was like reading a book and I watched somebody like move around in the kitchen.
oh my god.
Like walk into the kitchen and like walk out, and I'm the only one in the apartment. And then I'm like, I text my friend immediately. I'm like, dude, I'm freaking out. Like I just saw something in your kitchen. He's like, yeah.
Chasteen needs a snack.
And he starts. He literally texts me, laugh out loud. Yes, that happens.
You're like, okay.
Like, what?
Nonchalant.
That's my roommate.
I'm like, oh, thanks.
That's
my
Fred.
roommate.
He's
He's
chill.
a ghost.
I'm like, wait, this is like, yeah, it happens. We've seen it before. It's like, I'm like in the like near the kitchen, near the bathroom, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, that happens.
Jeez.
And like that's how the whole area was. I'm like, oh, this is fucking terrifying.
Why am I here?
Right.
I love when people just become so accustomed to it that they're just like, oh yeah, it's whatever, it's cool.
Well, that's how
Yep.
Maori was.
Yeah.
I mean, she
yeah,
lived in
she's
that
like a-
terrifying house for 3 years, and it got to the point where, like, it just became normal for her.
See, I would hate to get to that point. I don't know if I ever could get to that point. I probably would leave before I got to that point.
Yeah, well,
I feel like until you're in that situation though.
exactly.
Because so a few years ago, we lived at this house in Old Town East, which for your listeners, if they're not from Columbus, it's like a little suburb of Columbus.
That's where
A
my
lot of older
apartment
buildings.
downtown was that I was talking about.
Interesting.
Well, it's very close to downtown.
Yep.
Like, Old Town
Yeah.
East
Yep.
is like on the very
That's
edge
why
of
I said
downtown.
I was surprised my building wasn't haunted,
Yeah.
to my knowledge anyway.
We lived in this house. It was like a split, so it has like the two sides. But our side was really cool. We had like a hidden staircase in the closet, and it was just awesome. I'm pretty sure that it was like a staircase for like the house. What would you call them?
Like servants?
Servants, yeah,
No,
for
okay.
like servants' quarters. So that they wouldn't take the main staircase. So I don't know if it had originally been if both sides had originally been open and it was just one big house, or if it's always been two sides. But either way, that place had some creepy energy. We would literally just be sitting on the couch and you would just hear someone walking around upstairs, like opening and closing doors, like stomping up and down the stairs. Like, it was insane.
Maybe that was originally one house and then they split into two. They were mad. They're like, you split my house
Maybe.
in
You know, like-
two.
But we just got used to it to an extent. I mean, we were there for a while, but
To me, I think like one of the creepiest things is like hearing footsteps.
yeah.
I mean, like I've seen shit, I've heard shit, I've witnessed some crazy shit, but like footsteps, just don't know if it's because of so many horror movies I've watched or I don't know what it is, but there's something about footsteps. Like if I hear footsteps, that creeps me out probably more than anything else.
I think that's probably too because you can hear it, so you know it's there. And if you're hearing it, like, and you weren't hearing it before, that means it's coming. And you're like, oh, can't see where it's coming
Yeah.
from. Don't know what it is. So
the place
we'll
that
just do this.
Ashley, the place that you and I used to work together at,
Yes.
in the main room, dude, that building was creepy.
Yes.
God, we worked in this building with individuals with disabilities, and it was like one of those homes they would build like a construction site for offices, and those are temporary places for them to work on construction. Well, this place was just like that, just became it, and it was there for a long time. And that place had cold spots.
Cold spots.
I
Out
remember
the wazoo.
you'd hear like people walking down the hall.
Yeah,
and
I was over there because I would go in the morning, remember? And
Yeah.
I was usually the first person there. And I would go over to the one building and I anything I had to do, I did as fast as I possibly could. But there was one time I heard whispering and I thought one of the managers had gotten there and I was like saying their names and neither one, and then I eventually left the building and neither one of their cars were there. And I was like, well, shit.
Yeah, I've talked to everyone who worked there. I talked to them. I was like, anyone else just hate being in that building alone? They're like, yeah. And there was two buildings, and the other one was fine, but that building, but there's a bunch of people there, and like I was talking to somebody. We're kind of like a meeting, and in the middle of it, we just hear footsteps on the roof, right
On the
above,
roof?
right where we were standing. So
What
like,
the heck?
it wasn't like it was in the hallway or in the other room. Like it was literally right above.
Ew.
And there's no. Oh, the other thing too. The only way there was no basement, but there was a crawl space that went into mud.
Hate that.
So there was a board in a closet you would lift up,
Oh,
and you could
God.
actually see the dirt. And they
Yep.
would they use that for storage for broken shit, and they would just throw it down there. Totally creepy. And I went down there once. I was like, I never want to go down there ever again because raccoons and all kinds of animals were down there too. But the footsteps were clearly on like up above us. No, it wasn't around us. It wasn't below us. It was clearly above our heads.
I know what you're talking about because
Yeah.
I heard it once too.
Yeah.
So yes, I know what you're talking
And I remember
about.
like the person I was with, she looked at me and she's like, was that a raccoon? I was like, really? I'm like, that was legit footsteps. And there was like, I'm like, is there construction or anything
mention-
going on today? And she's like, no.
I never saw a raccoon around there when I was there.
The only animals
Squirrels.
the only animals I ever saw there were coyotes.
Yeah, the coyotes. Yeah, there were
Coyote
the coyotes.
is on the roof.
And
Coyotes on the roof.
right, was that going to be the excuse?
Sounds
yeah,
like
I only
a really
saw
shitty like
coyotes and
indie album,
squirrels.
indie rock album. Coyotes on the roof.
Coyotes on the roof. Coyotes on the roof.
So yes, I don't know, something about footprints on like above you or below you. Just something about footprints. Just I don't know, hearing footsteps.
Eek.
Just, yeah, just make me. We were talking about Otan East. Sorry.
Oh, no, don't apologize. I can't just take over the whole podcast myself.
Well, you're our guest.
That house, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the landlord alone was spooky. I hated him, but that house was just wild. Like, my boyfriend had lived there off and on through college and then a few years after college, but it was like he would be there for a couple years, then he would move out, and then it would just change hands again. And it was just always one of those places that was like month to month, and the landlord was just kind of like a slumlord. So as long as he was getting his money, he didn't really care who the hell was there.
Yeah.
So at one point, it changes hands to someone that we both worked with and I was good friends with. And I was like, I think I kind of want to move in there because my current roommates suck. So I ended up moving in there, and there was this couple that lived there upstairs. So the house had like a really spacious downstairs. The second floor had 2 rooms and a bathroom, and then the 3rd floor is basically like its own apartment. So it had like 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. And so the 3rd floor, usually whoever is up there would just like have their own apartment basically, and they would keep to themselves. Well, this couple lived up there, and when they had first moved in, apparently they were like the best of friends and everything was hunky-dory. And then right before they moved out, one of them like tried to off herself. The guy would like scream at her, and she would like throw knives at him, and it was bad. And I don't know if there was like energy there from them, or if there was like a previous energy there that kind of caused some of this stuff. But over the years, anyone who stayed on that 3rd floor would have basically those same problems, or would just like change personality completely. So these 2 move out, and another couple moves in. And this is around the time that I'm living there now. And I was like totally chill with them. They were really nice, really cool couple. And same thing with them. They started fighting all the time, and not to the point of where they were like violent to each other or anything. But around this same time, I started hearing stories from them and the friend of mine that was also there, about how like the upstairs light would just turn off and on by itself all the time, or they would hear someone whispering upstairs, or like footsteps and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, whatever, you guys are silly. No, turns out they weren't. Very real. As it turns out, not so silly. But anyway, so the guy ends up moving out. The guy of the couple ends up moving out, and the girl stayed there. And around this time, my boyfriend ends up moving back in. Like I said, the place has changed hands a million times. So then at one point, when he moved back in, the guy that I was friends with that was living there ended up moving out. So anyway, so then it's me, my boyfriend, and this girl from this couple that used to live upstairs. And a few months later, she moved out. And so then it was just the 2 of us there. And I specifically remember one night, like my boyfriend is one of those people that's just like Mr. Logical. Like he's got an explanation for everything. He doesn't really want to hear it. Like, oh, that's just this or that. Did you think about it this way? Fine. Like totally cool. I get it. That's just how his brain works. There was a night that like even he could not deny it. Like we were there alone. There was nobody else in the house. There was nobody living next door. We're just sitting on the couch watching TV. And you know how like when you're really used to a place, like you know the particular noises of like each room's door or stuff like that.
Right.
So
even when you hear like weird noises, you'll know like, okay, that was just that.
Like,
Whatever that was.
like creaking. Oh, that.
Yeah.
Creaks,
like I know, even my cats, like they will run around, and I know certain boards in the floors are even loose.
Yeah.
Kind of creaky. So even I know if I hear it, I'm like, okay, that was like the cat going over that part of the room or
right.
the house or something like that.
Exactly. So like we're sitting downstairs, and our bedroom door, it was like the only one in the house to do this, but it would make this kind of like screech when you open the doorknob. So we clear as day hear that, and then hear the door open and then close again. I'm getting chills again. Oh my God. I was so freaked out. I was like, we have to go. Somebody's in our fucking house right now. Did you just hear that? And he's like, yeah. And then you hear them like walking around upstairs. And so he like grabs the baseball bat, goes flying up the stairs, opens every one of the doors, goes all the way to the 3rd floor check. He's like, Chris, there's nobody in the house. Like there is nobody here. And it's like somebody is, we just can't see them. Okay.
Right.
That's great.
That's even worse.
It was really scary. So then at this point in time, he was traveling a lot for work, and I ended up getting a dog because it made me feel a little more secure, like, you know, alone in this huge house by myself until our next roommate moved in. There was like this little window of time where it was just the 2 of us living there. I want to say it was like a month-long period of time before he was able to move in. So before our friend moved in, there's like this one week that my boyfriend is away for work. He used to work with a glassblower that would travel all the time to like different art shows around the country and everything. So he's like states away. And I get a dog, and I'm like, okay, I feel a little bit better. Have this cute puppy to play with, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, one night I'm sound asleep, and she's sleeping at the foot of the bed. And I wake up because she is just barking her head off. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? I'm like trying to get her to calm down. And I like fully snap to and open my eyes completely. And there's like a full shadow figure just chilling at the foot of the bed. And it was, oh my God.
What
it
did
was
we say about
so
listening
terrifying.
to the animals, though?
It was terrifying. I thought someone was in the house because it was, I say shadow figure, but it wasn't like a shadow. Like it was darker than dark. It was like thick, heavy.
I know what you mean because I've seen shit like that. Yeah, where it's because the room is dark, but there's a corner or side of the room that's unnaturally darker than it should be, and it's like, why is there a void of the like all light, like even like any light that's coming from like the outside or anything that is? I know, me too, but it's like it is obliterated by whatever this thing is in whatever side of the room it is. Oh God, fuck.
Yeah,
Nope.
It was absolutely terrifying. So here I am like half asleep and I'm like, okay, well, I'm obviously not crazy because I woke up because she's barking at this thing. And as she's barking, I'm like staring, it like moves out into like the main part of the room. It's kind of hard to explain, but we had like a little square where our bed is, and then you would go through a doorway and there's like a bigger part of the room. So it moved out to that part of the room and she's like chasing after it, barking. And I grab, back to the first story, the baseball bat, we now kept it by our bed. So I grabbed the baseball bat and I'm like going into the main part of the room. There's nobody there. Dude, I was so freaked out. I like called my boyfriend. It's like 3 or 4 in the morning. Poor guy's got to sleep for work the next day. And I'm like, I just need you to talk to me for a little bit. Like, this was the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me. I cannot go back to sleep. I am shaking. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was definitely the scariest thing that ever happened in that house.
Yeah. Like waking up and there's like something in the room. And again, with that like that shadow darkness thing is just, that's the fucking worst. Cause it's like, it's not just hearing a noise or whatever. It's like, there's literally something with you. And that's the fucking worst.
I feel like if it hadn't been for her barking at it, I would have just like maybe shrugged it off a little bit more and been like, oh, you know, it's just sleep chemicals or something like that. But the fact that I only woke up because she was barking at it and she saw it too,
and
like that to this
out
day.
So much.
Oh my God, it still creeps me out.
Like, what if I hadn't woken up?
Oh my God, don't say that.
Like, because why were you standing there?
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. Taking
Hate
my eyes
that.
water, that one.
Oh God. Yeah.
Like, what would you want? Because you were clearly going to do something.
Yeah.
That's like I said. That's like to me. That's the worst part. Is like once you're awake, you're like, well, what the fuck do I do? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, do I go back to sleep? Do I go downstairs and
No.
start watching TV? And then like,
Do I leave the house?
it's like, yeah,
Yes.
leave the house. Like,
Yes.
So apparently the remedy for me was to watch stand-up comedy for 3 hours until the sun came up. And then I went back to sleep.
That's also an option.
I was like, I need something that's not scary.
I've told people before, I'm like, you can call me, whatever. Like, weird shit happens, like, just call me, and I've had friends call me like 3 or 4 in the morning, just freaking out.
Who are you going to call?
Yeah, it's like,
Jordan.
well, more so just like, I don't sleep because I'm a fucking night owl. So I'm like, yeah, hit me up at the weirdest hour. Normally I'm
This is
awake.
true.
So I'm like,
I remember working with you and you would come into work on like, I had 2 hours of sleep.
like, I went to
And
bed.
it's like 6:30 in the morning. I had 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I'm like, I went to bed last night around like 3, and like it's 6. I'm like, I know.
I'm like, I went around to bed, and then like I'm over here like, oh, I went to bed at 8:30.
Yeah. So it's like I always tell people, yeah, you can give me a contact me because I don't fucking sleep. So I've had people call me at 3 in the morning just for all kinds of reasons. So yeah, man.
Duly noted.
I get that feeling. That I know that.
Like the visual.
I know that like feeling of like just having something in the room.
I
with
just
you is,
like the
absolute
visual that
fucking
everyone's
worst.
not getting of you, like doing this.
Well, because I'm thinking
Like,
about
it's like you're trying to run in your chair, like your arms are moving.
To me, it looks like Rock'em Sock'em
Yeah.
Robots.
Well, so
I'm scared.
I had an experience where person I was with woke me up because she saw something like leering into the bed, like kind of crawling into like the bed, like on top of us. And it had like a stark white face and like, black eyes.
Oh, I just
And
saw that in
then-
my brain. No,
yes.
thank you.
Same.
So
Same.
so she woke me up
No.
because she screamed, literally screamed bloody murder, woke me up, and then that's where I saw it standing in the corner, and she threw a pillow at it, and then like it was like the energy immediately just vanished.
I just
And,
got
like,
chills.
like
Where were you guys living when this happened?
here.
Was it Old Town East?
Wait, no. Did you hear what he said? Where were you guys living when this
Right here.
happened?
Right here.
You know where we're at right now.
This is the part where I leave.
Yeah.
The
So
apartment we're sitting in right
yeah,
now.
the apartment.
Great.
So I will say this about this apartment. I've had some weird experiences in it, but we talked about this before. It's kind of like a rolling effect.
Yeah.
Where the apartment itself's not haunted. I think it's like the area where, so it's like, because this is a really old area of like, I live in Bexley. And if you know anything about Columbus or anything you know about Ohio, you know Bexley is really freaking old. So it's like, I feel like energy kind of like rolls in here. And then like between the two of us, we're just kind of like beacons of, hey, weird shit, come to us. Cause you know, come
say hi.
Come say hi. Cause obviously we're
Lighthouse.
we're casting off this energy of come visit. So I think that's more so what it was. But I did not sleep that night. And
Well,
I
yeah.
remember I had to wake up like super early for work. And I remember I came into work and like I was like,
Who am I?
yeah, I'm like, are you all right? You look, I'm like, dude,
No.
I didn't sleep. Like
They're like, you look like you saw a ghost. You're like,
Well,
yeah, I did.
here's the thing.
interesting you say that.
So everyone was like, you look really weird. And so I finally talked to someone I knew someone I felt comfortable talking to with. I was like, no, dude, this is seriously what happened last night. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah.
See, I've only
the
ever
fuck do you fall
had
asleep
that,
to that?
rolling effect happen to me once.
Yeah.
And like I didn't like it because like I didn't realize that's what it was at the time, but I just kept like I was downstairs and like I just kept feeling like I was like panicking and I was dying. Like I was
Oh my God.
freaking dying. I'm dying. But then I would go upstairs and I would be fine and I would come back downstairs like, nope, I'm dying. Like and it was just, but then that's the only time I ever had that happen. And other than that, my house is like fine.
Yeah, I haven't experienced anything in here, in this place, in probably about a year. So,
So what you're saying is it's about time.
yeah, it's about
You're
time.
right,
It's about fucking time.
We're waiting. We're waiting.
Actually, no. The other night I did hear. I still don't know what the fuck it was because I'm here by myself, and I heard a noise that sounded like someone ripping paper.
So just for clarification, to like when
And
I
don't-
started hearing noises over here, like when I was sitting by the window, that was why I was freaking out because in my head, like I was remembering all the things you've told me,
That's
and I
happened
was
here.
like, "Oh man,
No.
oh man."
So this happened like a week ago. I heard someone like ripping paper, like literally it sounded like paper. You know, what paper sounds like? It was like a sharp rip. And I was like in bed and I'm like woke up and I was like, wait a second, what the hell? And so I like turned on all the lights and I'm looking around and that was the cats, but the cats were like in the room with me and I'm like, okay. So like, I think I even went to the basement. I think I turned all the lights on and looked in the basement and I'm like, okay, I'm clearly like freaking myself out even more than I already am. So I just went back upstairs. I dimmed the lights so they weren't off. They were just kind of very darkly dimmed and I watched YouTube until I fell asleep.
I think it's so funny that we just do that out of human nature, though. Is like we dim the lights or turn them on, like that's gonna make the ghosts go away.
I don't know why.
It's so weird because
you know,
it's
the
not.
whole it's the whole like mentality of
Right.
like have a flashlight hide under the bed sheets
Right,
and you'll be fine. It's like
it's daytime now, so it's not here anymore, right? It goes away in the daytime, right?
I am
No,
one of those people. I always
it's not
feel
a
a little more
vampire.
comfortable like during the day than at night.
Yeah,
So I think
I
it's
just
just
think
because
it's
you
the
can
light,
see.
though.
Yeah,
I
it's
do. I
exactly
think
what
it's
it
the
is.
light, but like our mind tricks us into being like, okay, because there's light now, it's gone, which is not how things work.
Because most of the weird shit that's happened to me, I think it's almost always happened at night. I don't think I've hardly anything during the day.
Well, I'm sure the
So-
energy's different too,
Yeah.
but still, like, it's not gone when.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just funny. I just think it's always funny how that's how our brain works. Like, oh, we turn on the lights, we're safe.
Like, because like in Maurer's case, it didn't matter what time it was.
Right? No.
her house had activity going on day or night. Didn't really
Oh,
matter.
God.
Yeah. Let's start on our second episode.
Second episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
second note. It's called "This Old House." It's about Maurer's house, or from my friend Maury had his horrible.
From Hilliard.
Yeah.
Again.
Hilliard again.
Interesting.
Horrifying experience buying a house. So if you haven't heard that episode, definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, yeah.
So moving more into like presents. This is that when you were living in Old Town East. Where are you living now?
Right now, I'm living in the Old North area.
Okay.
So basically, like, I'm trying to think of what's nearby there. Like, I'm like right down the street from like Bossy Girls, basically.
I was going to
Where
say
they're
that's
from.
like right near Clinton Village.
Yeah,
Like, right
exactly.
smack dab next to it.
Yup.
Bossy Girls. You said that they had an actual like investigator there.
Yeah, so we had a crew come out. It was super fun. I got to sit there and listen to like the spirit box and stuff, and they had a bunch of different cameras we could watch. I think sometime soon they're actually supposed to send us all of their findings, which is really exciting. But we've all had stuff happen there.
I would love to know like what they find out about
For
it.
those
Me
of us
too.
who like are listening and are not from the Columbus area, Bossy Girls is a local bar in Columbus and campus area.
It's where I show my titties.
Yes, it is a burlesque bar. There is a lot of amazing burlesque shows. So yes, that is where you show your titties.
And my butt.
And that's what it's famous for, though.
Is it now just pretty much a burlesque bar?
So you're welcome, Bossy Girls, because we just got you
Plugged.
Yeah, we're plugging you because you're a haunted bar.
that shows boobs and butts.
The sauciest spirits in Columbus. Yeah, we've all had some stuff happen there. It's interesting. It's just kind of like it's never felt bad or anything like that. It just feels like someone's just like real cheeky, like hanging out, like, hey, what are you doing in there?
Like that's why they chose that bar. They're like, I'm gonna stay here. Like,
this is
somebody
the
passed
place
away.
to be.
Right, this is where I want to spend eternity.
Right.
Is this heaven?
What makes me wonder if it's the bar or if it's the entire like all those houses and neighborhoods,
Yeah,
like, all that stuff right
whole
there.
area
Because
is
like there's all those bars. There's like several bars right all connected to each other, and like even Space Bar. Like
Yeah,
that place
Space
is
Bars
weird.
has been like, gosh, it's been like over the past few years. It's been like 3 different places.
Right.
It was
and then
Kobo.
Kobo.
Yes.
I miss Kobo.
and then there was
great.
a like apartment upstairs, and I've been in that apartment.
Have you been
before.
up there? I've
Yeah, I
always
have.
wondered. It's flooded a couple
really?
times. Oh yeah.
It's a pretty cool looking place. It's all brick. It's all wood and brick. Wood floors, brick walls, vaulted ceilings. It's pretty cool. I was probably drunk when I was in there, so if I could tell you anything about that, like as far as any weird stuff goes, but I mean, it looks just like all their area, like all the bars and all the shops in that little like block area of everyone calls. They're all connected.
And you know what my thing is too, that with all those little places that are connected to is, it kind of goes back to when we were talking about like when you're constantly like knocking out something over and then rebuilding on it.
Yeah, but this
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is they don't do that. What they do is they just constantly remodel stuff, and that's the thing that usually is like, oh, well, that does stir up energy. So I think that's also fascinating that you're saying that about that location where that's been done, where they've, we're gonna add this thing on, or we're gonna knock this thing down.
So, what other like crazy things that happen at Bossy Girls? What kind of experience is there?
So
Phenomenon.
the thing that has always happened to me is I'll be heading up. So we have like a little dressing room upstairs, and there's like this little skinny little stairwell that you have to climb up. And when I say climb, you have to like climb up it. It's steep.
Yeah, I've
Not fun to walk on in heels when you're going down. But so I'll be like climbing up the stairs, and I'll look at the top of the stairs, and I'll just see like the edge of someone's dress, like they just rounded the corner, and I'll be like, hey, and I won't hear anything. And then I'll get up to the top, and I'm like, oh, I'm the only one up here. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Sweet. Love that.
Hey, girl.
Yeah.
Ghost.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll be heading up, and I'll like hear people upstairs talking, and I'll be like, hey, it's Kritter, I'm coming up. And then the talking will stop, and I'm just like, damn, like I guess y'all hate me or something. Go off and be like, who's up here? And there's nobody there.
Next time you put on your
Wow.
upper list show, you should just pretend that you're slowly dancing for the ghost.
Hey, Mr. Ghosty, this one's for you.
This one's for you.
Or maybe a girl if you saw a dress. Or if you heard voices, it's probably multiple.
Yeah. I mean, I've never felt like scared.
Or maybe it's a drag ghost.
Drag ghost.
Just say maybe.
I'm trying to think what something happened when they were. So we recently did do some like slight remodeling inside. Mostly they just picked up some of like the old tiles and like redid the flooring and stuff. And I was not there for this, but I heard through the grapevine that apparently there was like a blood-like substance coming out of one of the walls. And a few of the people freaked out about it. Our troop leader is one of those very logical people. She's like, oh, someone like cut their hand or something. I don't know. Everyone else is like, it wasn't there before. So I don't know.
So what did they think it was then?
She thought maybe it was blood, but that it wasn't like
ectoplasm.
Yeah, she was like, it's not a ghost. It's not a haunted building. Someone like hurt themselves. And they were like, no, none of us have cuts. Something happened. Again, I wasn't there for that one, but I found it interesting. Like, you don't say.
I just feel like having a bar that's haunted is just like extra brownie points for having a bar. It's just like,
especially if it's a burlesque bar. Like,
yeah, I would definitely put that like, oh, this is a haunted burlesque bar. Like, what the hell? I mean,
I feel like that is really like our Facebook page. We have merch.
I mean, I said it earlier, but like thinking over in my head, like ghosts, boobs, and butts. Like,
yeah,
you really should take advantage of that, bossy girls. You really should.
I think it was Halloween last year. I had a show that we named, what was it? Booze and Boobs or something like that. But it was like booze, like BOOS.
I remember hearing about this.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about this.
Our troop leader made a shirt that's like, you know, the like pinup thing where they will like be sitting on the side of like the humongous glass of champagne.
Yeah.
So it's like that, but it's like a ghost girl with her little legs flicking out off the side. It's so stinking cute. Oh my God, I love it. It's such a cute little logo. So yeah, we have those shirts now. We also have a shirt of a really bad review that someone left that was like, they were review bombing because they didn't like something that she said in some other Facebook group. It was completely unrelated. And he basically was just like, oh yeah, I was having a great time until the bartender got mad at me and then bent my straw into a pentagram. So now that's like on the back of a shirt.
So you guys should all go buy those shirts.
Right.
Yep. Tea.
Some shameless plugging there. It's okay.
I'm always shameless plugging bossy girls. I love it.
Yeah.
We allow it, absolutely.
We shameless plug everything.
Right, exactly. So we're all about it.
I'm here for it. I think the only other thing that I came wanting to really talk about, you had mentioned like cryptid stuff earlier.
Yeah.
So there was a time that my boyfriend and I were traveling, and I want to say we were on the way back from Texas. I have family in Texas. And we were driving through, was it Alabama? I'm not really sure exactly what state we were driving through. It was like really late at night, and we're just trying to find a hotel to stop at. We're like absolutely exhausted. We're just like driving. So at one point, I just see this like flash of eyes up ahead, and I was like, oh snap, slow down, because I think there might be a deer up there. So we slow down just a little bit, and I see this figure that literally looks like a wolf and a human together or something. It was so bizarre.
Jordan.
What?
Yeah, it was so creepy. So like the easiest
familiar?
way that I can describe it is like, you know, the old like Nosferatu,
Yeah.
where he's all like hunched over and
Yeah.
gangly, like that, but like hair.
Was the forefront like longer than the back? A little bit?
Like the front legs.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm really getting chills because you're asking me
It's
this.
so
It's
funny,
so creepy.
and like I
But,
can't
like-
wait till we talk about this because it's
Well,
going to be an episode.
at this-
and I have a feeling it's going to get brought up because I know about.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I know about it. I watched.
So I have
something
a
about
story that's almost identical.
Ah!
Holy shit.
It was like hairy, but it still looked like you could still see skin. It was like palish, like I don't want to say it was like a translucency kind of thing, but it was almost like a pearlescent type skin. But like as we're driving by, it just like whipped its head over and looked at us. And I was like, I was like, no.
Holy shit.
I think it was like bent over eating something or something. I don't know. It was, I turned to my boyfriend. I was like, you fucking saw that, right? I was like, you can't deny what you just saw. And he was like, yeah, I saw that too. He's like, just keep driving.
Oh my
We're
God.
not going to talk about this again.
Ugh.
Dude, I've had almost the exact same experience. Like, same thing, same look.
Like whipping its head back and looking at you like that. Like,
so, okay. Holy shit. So I had almost the identical same experience as you did. Holy crap. So yeah, my partner at the time, her and I were driving down to Louisiana for her birthday. We were going to the world's largest insectarium, which is in New Orleans. So we're driving, and it's like roughly around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And just like you're saying, like we were driving, we made like a bend on the freeway, which at this point we're driving between Mississippi and Louisiana. So it's like kind of middle of nowhere between those, like swampland. So it was like kind of like a shorter, like the freeway was just kind of like a 4-lane freeway. And we make a sharp turn, and there's this fucking thing like on the right by a tree. First thing we see is like the big yellow glowing eyes, and it's like lurched over, and it's big, and it's like gnarly, and it like sees us, and it like turns around and runs like super fast. And we're both like, what the fuck was that? Like we're both like yelling. We're like, you saw that? We're both like, yes, we saw that. We both affirmed. We spend the next 45 minutes all the way up to New Orleans trying to figure out what the fuck we saw. To this day, I'm like, holy shit. It was the weirdest thing. And like, we were trying to figure out, like, you know, it's a dog. Well, it's way too big for a dog. Is it, you know, a bear? It's a way too bears in this area, maybe, but it just didn't look like it. It was too gnarly. The way it was hunched over. Bears don't like hunch over the way this thing was. Like this color was off because it was kind of like we were talking about, like the translucent, like kind of brownish silver. I mean, even though it's like reflecting from the headlights of the car,
right? Yeah, but still very like pale.
Yes,
So like that's not a normal color.
Yeah,
right.
So then like again, like things saw us fucking like I think we freaked it out just as much as it freaked us out. It ran super fast. It was quick, and we were both like, "What the fuck?" So we like got to our hotel, kind of trying to forget about it, but at the same time, it's like
You can't forget. How do you forget
Yeah.
about it?
What'd you do?
No.
Like, how'd you guys do it? Like when you guys like saw this thing?
Basically, it was just like it was just like you saw that. You saw it, it was kind of the same thing that you just explained, like trying to figure out, well, okay, logically what could it have been, but nothing sounded right. And I don't think ours had like yellowish, well, I don't know what color its eyes were. We just saw like the flash.
Well,
like,
that's because ours was like yellow, but it's reflecting from the headlights.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's like, you know, your cat's eyes are like turned yellow and you shine lights at it.
Right.
So
yeah.
it had like the reflecting, like the yellow light eyes of like the lights, but yeah, I just remember like freaked us out because how fast it was too.
The one that we saw, maybe it did run away after the fact, but I think I zoomed off way too fast because all I really
I would
saw
wanna
was
know.
it like lift up a little bit and turn its head super fast, like, oh shit, there's a car. And then after that, we were already past it because I was like, nope.
Oh god, so
Unlike that.
I remember I started doing like a little bit of research. I think I was doing it there while I was there, but then like we got to New Orleans and I started looking up stuff that we wanted to go, and I kind of forgot about it a little bit because I was just more focused on like our trip and what we were doing. But I remember like on the way back, even like hours we were driving back, we still were talking about it. Probably like you were too.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I got home and I started doing more research into it, and that's when I learned about the rougarou, the Louisiana werewolf. And I'm gonna sound like a crazy person, but that's what I'm pretty sure I saw. I'm about 99.9% sure that's what I saw, because nothing has matched up to this, whatever that was. Like nothing I've looked up online has matched it.
Well, didn't you also find out that there was a full moon that night? Too?
I did. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, because I know I've told you the story, but I looked up like a month later. I was like, oh, you know what? Let me think. I remember the date because it was like right around her birthday, so I knew exactly like when we got there and like what time we left and all that stuff. So I remember the dates. So I looked it up and I was like, sure as shit, full moon that night.
Well, mystery solved.
Yeah, right. So I've told a couple of at this thing, I think at this point I've gotten pretty comfortable telling the story more so. I didn't tell fucking anybody after it happened. I was like, anyone I tell this to is going to think I'm crazy. So, it's nice to hear someone else has the same story.
Yeah, you're like, so either
I feel
either
like
we're both crazy.
Yeah, it's like we're both crazy.
We're crazy together.
Right. So it's kind of nice to have someone with a similar story to mine. So almost identical to mine, actually.
Yeah.
I South.
am trying to recall. I was listening to a podcast. Well, I don't know if it's considered a podcast if it's on Spotify, but
We're on Spotify.
yeah. So okay, yeah. I was like, because I don't know. I know that like on Apple it's called a podcast, but I was like, is it still called a podcast?
Yeah, on Spotify it's called a podcast.
We're on Spotify.
Perfect. I was listening to something on Spotify. They just had like a playlist of different episodes of podcasts that were like spooky things. And if I find it, I'll send it to you. But there was one where it was just a bunch of people telling stories of a creature that sounds similar to this, but they were all talking about how these things would like chase them. And I'm just like, I'm so glad that this thing did not chase us, because the one girl was talking about how she was like in the back of someone's truck when they saw it. And so she's watching this thing chase after them from the back of the truck. And she's like, if it gets closer, it's going to like kill me.
I'm gonna die.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Just, some casual afternoon listening.
So basically, like, if I ever, because I'm the only one of us who's not seen this. So basically, if I ever see it,
there is a more majority of people who have not seen this than people who probably have seen it.
But yeah, so if any of us who haven't seen it, if you see it now, just know it's gonna fucking chase you because it wants to eat your face.
You know what's interesting though? If I remember correctly, I want to say that these stories came from people that were living in basically that same area that we were talking about too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just like blown. My mind is blown that I met someone who has a very similar story to me.
Which makes you like wonder too, like, well, there's clearly more than one of these things.
It's the same one.
I had a conversation with one of my friends about Cryptid, especially, who's going to eventually be on the show. But
I feel like also like they're definitely species, but they're just not as populated,
right? But it's like with Cryptids, it's like you get like 6 people who all witness one thing, but none of their stories match up. That's bad. Everyone witnessed one situation, but none of their stories all match up, and it's all different, even to like the extent of like what the creature looked like. Mothman kind of has that a little bit, because a lot of people had different variations of what they saw when Mothman happened. So it's weird to me to like meet someone who has almost the exact same story as me. So that to me is like what's blowing my mind.
Yeah, right.
Maybe I could go on Reddit and go on like the Rougarou forum, maybe.
Then you would be like,
"Hey guys,
we wouldn't hear from you for like 3 days."
Right? Yeah.
Down the rabbit hole.
Right.
And you'd come out of that probably crazy.
Wow, I'm still just blown away. So, wow. Okay. Moving on. At this point, do you have anything you want to plug? Any new events you guys have coming up? Because once again, you are part of the Sex Kitten Purrrlesque.
Yeah.
You're based out of Columbus, Ohio. When's your guys' next events and stuff?
So we perform every Monday night and then the 4th Friday of every month at Bꝋꝋbs. We also have some fun shows in between that, though, that different members of the troupe will produce. I have a show coming up on the 22nd at AWOL. It's called Girl, What the Fuck Just Happened? So it's awesome. Basically like a little irreverent look at the events of the past year or so, and kind of looking to the future coming out of that. And every Friday the 13th has just become like my show at Bꝋꝋbs. So I always do like a spooky fun show. So yeah, some fun stuff coming up.
Cool. And you can find that at facebook.com/Sex Kitten Purrrlesque, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Spell Purrrlesque for us real fast.
Purrrlesque. Purrrlesque.
Yeah, I was going to have you do it because I was going to fuck that up. Of course, you can also find Kritter on Instagram, instagram.com/Kritter Mortis. Of course, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and all the other social media by just looking up The Spooky Door. And you yourself have any crazy experiences or stories or anything you'd like to share or anything you'd like us to read, you can hit us up on any of the social media platforms. Go to thespookydoor.com or also email us at info@thespookydoor.com. Ashley, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yes, I do have something else I wanted to add. I just wanted to give a shout out to Life Paranormal with V, who tagged us in a thread on her Twitter.
Aw.
And gave a little shout out to us. So I wanted to give a shout out back and say thanks.
Who also has a pretty amazing podcast too.
And that when I saw that thread, it also made my day because she was giving a shout out to women that she loved in the paranormal podcast. I know, in the paranormal podcast community.
That's awesome.
So I wanted to shout out back. Thanks.
So once again, we want to thank Kritter Mortis for being on the show tonight with us. And once again, my name is Jordan. With me, as always, is the incredible Ashley. And take a journey with us next time through the spooky door.